Welcome back to the Alcohol Free Revolution podcast. This is episode 52. One
Wow.
year. 1 year. My name is Steve Smith.
And my name is James Lloyd.
There you go. 1 year. Happy first birthday.
Oh, thank you, mate. Happy turning one. What a
And
year it's
five,
been.
all in the same month.
Yeah, it's been a week of milestones.
It has been a week of milestones.
Milestones.
Yeah. Hey, it's not. Yeah, I can't believe actually. We're going to have a bit of a chat about it, I think, in a minute and just kind of reflect on the last year. And for me, it's just been, yeah, I can't believe we are going 1 year every single week of
Yeah.
getting on the sound waves and coming in your ears.
Coming in your ears indeed. 1 year
Exactly.
no beer, or five
1 year.
years no beer in your case.
Exactly. How's your week been?
Ah, well, I was in Croatia last week, which was lovely. Had a alcohol-free holiday abroad. Beautiful weather, beautiful company, beautiful location. I did actually get a bit of beer FOMO though. I
Yeah,
did a reel
so
about this on Instagram for anyone who's not seen it, but yeah, for probably the first time in a long time, I actually did feel like I was missing out. But it wasn't that I was missing out on the booze; it was that I was just missing out on beer because we'd hired a yacht and we were kind of sailing around and we stopped at like
was
this.
your yacht in for repair?
Was it? Yeah, I see. Yeah.
Your yacht was in dry dock, was it getting repaired?
Yeah, I left it at the Monaco Grand Prix a couple of
Oh
weeks
right,
before.
okay.
Yeah, so I couldn't get it out. It was impounded at the Monaco Grand Prix. But no, so we were sailing around a beautiful day, sat out on this boat, and we pulled into like this beautiful little cove, really secluded beach. And there's a little beach bar there, which we stopped for some lunch and a drink. And I was just gagging for a beer, an alcohol-free beer. And we got there, and because it was kind of quite small, this place, they didn't have any alcohol-free beer. And
Mm.
I was like, oh. And all the people I was with were just sat there drinking like these ice cold pints, and I was just like, oh, I really want a beer. But I didn't. There was no urge for an alcoholic beer. I just wanted a beer,
Yeah,
because you're the same as me. Obviously, we swapped out alcohol beer for alcohol-free beer, yeah, years
yeah,
ago, and I don't
yeah.
have any sense of loss whatsoever about that.
Mm.
Alcohol-free beer scratches that itch well and truly for me. But just sort of sat there on the beach, just I really wanted a beer, but if they'd had anything like a Guinness Zero or a Heineken Zero or anything, I just really wanted it. So I was kind of
Yeah.
looking at my mates, thinking, oh well. But there's no way on earth I'd have trade. I would have had had beer with alcohol in it because why would I? Why would you
Well,
trade?
once in the last 4.5 years that you've
Just
had
wouldn't do it.
that kind of no, no, I know you wouldn't do it, but just to have had that thought, it's so it just highlights how few and far between those
Mm.
kind of thoughts really are. But yeah, I guess
Well,
yeah,
when
similar kind of.
well when I reflected on it, I was reflecting on the fact that for me, alcohol-free beer and regular beer, in terms of how I see them, are exactly the same. It was I just wanted a beer, and the fact
Mm,
that it would have been an alcohol-free beer wouldn't have even entered my head. It just
hmm.
would that's just wanted to taste the taste of beer. So you can completely replicate, I think, the taste for beer with alcohol-free beer. It doesn't take very long to kind of switch from one taste to the other. People sort of say, "Oh, it tastes a little bit different," and it does at first, but maybe for about a fortnight, and then you just get used to it, and it's beer.
Yeah, I think the same. The 0.05s, the real low ones, they obviously they don't have quite the same body in them, but at the same time, they're there for a purpose at the end of the day. And then, I tend to go for the sort of 0.5s, which, as we've kind of said in the past, have the same kind of alcohol content as a brioche bun. So unless it's
Mm,
particularly physically addicted or triggering, then for the vast majority of people, that's absolutely fine. And I think they have more body and more feel to them, mouth feel as they call it. And then when you do, and I think from time to time, if you do go somewhere and they've only got one of the lesser respected ones in my world, then it does scratch that itch, doesn't it? It just kind of
totally.
fills that gap, and
So yeah.
just
So
comes
what?
back to that association. But yeah,
So what about you? I'm sure the audience is excited to hear. I see you've got your Slateman t-shirt on there. Tell us how it went.
it was genuinely. I mean, it was so tough, but genuinely one of the most beautiful triathlon I've ever done. We were really lucky with the weather. So I did it with a good friend of mine, James. Shout out to James. We went up on Friday morning and just camped in the motorhome, just camped at the side of the lake where the swim was. Had a cracking day. So it was based in Llanberis, at the foot of Snowdon, and a huge shout out. They're not the biggest race organizers in the world, but always aim high events who put on just the most incredible triathlon. So it was slightly different to a typical Ironman, and this one had three potential types of finish to it. So I've probably said it a million times on here, but for those who don't know, a Ironman distance triathlon is a 2.4 mile open water swim, 112 mile bike ride, followed by a full marathon of 26.2 miles, all within a cut-off time of 17 hours. So that's what a traditional Ironman is. This one was slightly different, so they marketed it as an ultra Ironman, or an ultra triathlon, and there were three different types of finish you could get. So the swim was 2.4 miles, and that was in Llyn Padarn. I hope I pronounced that right to our Welsh listeners. Beautiful lake at the foot of Snowdon. My God, it was cold, and the start time for the swim was 5:15 a.m. So there was not much sun on the water, and it was about 14.5 degrees. So it took a bit of time to get my breathing together, but that was the same for everybody. But swim went pretty well. I was out the water in an hour and 20 minutes. The bike was longer. It was actually 118 miles, and we had to climb the Penny Pass twice, which runs through the not summit of Snowdon, but the roads around Snowdon. So there was. I feel like I'm giving a race report here.
I was going to say a brief summary would have been fine.
Okay, I'll cut to the chase. 8,500, 9,000 feet of climb, 118 miles on the bike. It was relentless in terms of hills, but I loved it, and it was stunning scenery. And then the bit I was cutting to is to the run. So the run was actually held in the Slate Quarry.
Hence the name.
Hence the name. It was not your typical style of running, shall we say. So it was with poles, lots of climbing. You had to climb the full height of the Slate Quarry, and you had a chance to. So you had to do a minimum of 3 laps to complete it. If you got in within a certain amount of time, you got the gift of being able to climb Snowdon. Sadly, I missed that cut-off, so I didn't actually get the Snowdon summit, but only 6 people, I think, got up there. So fair play to those who did. But I finished three loops, which was 22-mile run, and I came third. So
Third?
third
No
for
way.
third for the 3 loops, not third overall because I didn't get 4th loop. My friend James did. Big shout out to James, and 6 people made it up Snowdon as well. But on the 3 loops, I came third, so I was really chuffed with that.
Congratulations.
And it was just incredible. But yes, let's just say the legs are feeling a little tender today. So, and I may be having to readjust myself in my seat a little bit after sitting on the bike for 7 hours. So that's too much detail. What a place to do an event like that. It really was. And I just so lucky to be able to do things like that. And that's the main thing. You know, it doesn't, for me, it's just, I just consider myself so lucky to be able to take part in things like that. And yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So for any listeners that are still on,
welcome to the triathlon podcast.
Going back to where we started, it's our 1-year anniversary. We've been going for 52 weeks. What are some of the highlights for you?
Oh, for me, it's just the sheer number of guests that have said yes and agreed to come onto our pod that we started out last year. And I remember thinking, you know, if we could get Andy Ramage on the pod, that would be amazing. And then you messaged me to say you'd spoken to Andy and he'd agreed to come on. And we look back at our first one, you know, meet the hosts. And within...
Andy was episode 12.
Yeah, 12 episodes we had Andy. And that for me was a huge boost. But then from there, we had Harrison Ward.
We had Harrison, yeah, he's a really inspiring fella on episode 13.
Incredible.
What he achieved.
Denise Hamilton-Mace, I think, was just such an incredible episode. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, I followed Denise for quite a while, and she's such a smart lady, and she's such a beacon for alcohol-free alternatives, and she really knows her stuff. I learned so much in that episode off Denise. I think she's great. I'd love to get her back on again. And we had some hugely positive feedback from people. Tend to call that episode out quite a lot, actually. So if you've not heard that one, if you're wondering what to drink, you know, if you're looking for you know, wines and other alternatives other than beer, because I
Yeah.
sometimes, I think people sometimes, if they're not big beer drinkers, they struggle to find something to drink. But that's a great episode to go and look back to. She gives such good advice on some really hidden gems.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And then Andy Delderfield came on, and again, big shout out to Andy, who's also just done a 3-day ultra marathon in the jungle. So I definitely would like to reach out to Andy again and get him back on to kind of talk through his experience there. But a huge, huge shout out to friend of the pod, Andy Delderfield, who came on episode 16.
Mm. I'm
We
recording
had
his pod on Friday, actually. I know you've done it in the past, but yeah, it's a
fantastic.
clean break with him and
Yeah,
Rich.
yeah,
I'm doing their one, so looking
amazing.
forward to that.
Amazing. So we had David Hodgson from Zeno Wines. We had Dr. Emma Davis coming on and Jess Goyder talking about national grief awareness, and Emma Davis about the risks with the alcohol and cancer. And then, going back to Denise's on episode 26, again, regarding alcohol-free alternatives, Scott Maitland came on from over the pond to talk about, again, mixology and different alcohol-free alternatives. And then the
Mm.
wonderful Laura Willoughby.
Yeah, she was a big one for sure. I mean, she's an MBE. It's the first time I've ever interviewed an MBE or somebody who has a. Is that not? That's not the same as a knighthood, is it? I'm not sure what.
No,
No,
no.
it's not. So I'm such a peasant. But it's a period of the realm. Is that
Yeah,
right? Is that
yeah.
right? Yeah.
I don't.
An
What
honour.
do I look like? I'm a member of the royal family.
Probably not a good thing these days, but yeah, Laura was fantastic. I mean, she's the founder of Club Soda. For anybody who doesn't know, and Club Soda is just well, it's a venue in London, but it's also a lot more than that. It's a really sort of championing the alcohol-free movement from terms of alcohol-free alternatives and alcohol-free drinks. And she does a lot of stuff in Parliament. She's got actually a political background herself, but yeah, fascinating episode and a really wonderful guest.
Absolutely, absolutely.
That was
So
just for Christmas, that one.
that was, and hats off to you, mate, for doing so much work around for like getting the wonderful guests that we've had on. We then had Rich Casement, but all this time when we were having the conversations, there was that conversation about, I wonder if we could get Catherine Gray. And lo and behold, we did in
We did.
episode 38. And the week before that, also, Sober Dave. I mean,
Mm.
it just some absolute titans in the alcohol-free space. So episode 37 was Sober Dave, which was again one of our most listened to episodes, straight followed by Catherine Gray. After we both stalked her on a rainy day down in
It was worth it.
it was worth it.
It
What
was
an
worth
episode.
it was
So
worth it.
if you haven't listened to that, go back episode 38 with Catherine Gray, which was, yeah, superb, superb.
Mm.
Yeah, so we then obviously, I'm going through the whole back catalogue here. We had Joe Hands, our good friend from that we coached with back in episode 42.
Don't forget the
And
wives.
the wives.
Are they after that or before? Don't
Yeah,
forget
we did. Oh
don't
gosh.
forget the wives. God,
Right.
there's
This
all sorts of
definitely
trouble
needs
for that.
edited. So yeah, so we had my wife Jo on
Oh,
episode 40 and
my wife
your wife
Chris.
Chris on episode 41. I hope I got that the right way round because we don't have their names in the titles, but I'm pretty certain that's the way in which, the order in which we released them.
Joe was
Um,
first.
yes. So, and then we had Anna Donaghy in
Yeah,
episode
another
44.
alcohol-free megastar.
Yeah,
So we tried to get
absolutely.
her on for ages.
And then, yeah, we had Tabin Almond. And then just so recently, we then had the wonderful William Porter on episode 50. So, from what set out to be,
I mean, if you told me that a year, when we sat down in Penny Hill Park a year ago or a year and a half,
yeah,
and said, right, okay, in the first year you can have Andy Ramage, Catherine Gray, William Porter,
yeah,
I'd have been like,
yeah.
fucking hell, I'll take that. I mean,
Trouble is, we've got some work to do in year two. Just on top of that as well, some other things that really jump out for me, which is just blows my mind. We are live in 30 different countries,
mm,
30 different countries all over the world, as countries tend to be. I mean, I thought I would have been grateful to have any listeners from anywhere outside of our fair little isle, but we actually have listeners from Slovenia, Sweden, Portugal, Greece, Denmark, Switzerland, Spain, Belgium, Qatar.
Qatar. They're not allowed any
Qatar.
alcohol over there, are they?
Wow, three people do. Um, South Africa, Japan.
Oh, I know who's listening in Qatar. That's a
Oh, do
future.
you?
That's a future guest.
Ah,
Yeah, he
well,
lives
we'll
out in
keep that one
Qatar.
under wraps as
I know
well.
who that is. Yeah.
Japan, Croatia. Did you listen 3 times last week, mate?
Croatia. Yeah, I may well have done actually. Maybe I. No. Actually, I didn't download one there, but I should have done. Next time
Yeah.
you're away, yeah, make sure you download if you're abroad.
France, Guernsey, Jersey, Hong
Oh, I
Kong.
know who that is. That's one of our community members over in Guernsey.
Yes, and yeah, I know who's in Jersey as well. I won't shout him out, but he knows who he is.
Mm.
Hong Kong, Italy, Singapore, New Zealand. It's UAE. The list goes on and on and on. So a huge, huge, huge thank you from both myself and James to everybody who's listened in over the last year. And if you want to help grow the pod, what we really need to do is like and subscribe. That is what will really help grow our listenership, enable us to get more fantastic guests on as we grow the pod over the next 12 months, because we're not going anywhere. But we would really ask one small favor, that's you click like and subscribe, because it really helps push us up the rankings and helps us get more exposure and more ability to grow and take this to the next level.
Mm. And of course, we've got the alcohol-free revolution community as well.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Do you want me to?
Yeah, that's why I
Okay.
said
Well,
you want to talk a little bit about that.
so it's on a Monday lunchtime, 12 o'clock UK time, and we get together with some of our listeners and we just talk all things alcohol free. And it's a real place to be able to celebrate with other people. It's not an AA meeting. We say that every time. Not that that's not needed in the world, but this isn't it. This is about celebration. This is about meeting other people who are on alcohol free adventure, sharing all the wins, and yeah, meeting some really nice people. So we do that every single. Well, we do that most weeks. We have the occasional dropout, scheduling problems, but it's most Mondays. If you want to get involved, then just ping us an email to info@thealcoholfreerevolution.co.uk. I got it right. Brilliant. Normally I get that one wrong. It's completely free, and you can just come along, meet some people. In fact, if you don't even want to say anything or even turn your camera on, you can still come along. You'll still be welcome. So yeah.
Cool. Amazing.
Mm.
Amazing. So what else do you want to talk about this week?
Well, coming off the back of your Slateman, I'm always kind of.
Do you want to hear about it? I can run you through what it was all about in a minute if you want.
I've only got about another 45 minutes. I'm not sure. I mean, that's only going to be enough time to get through the swimming part, isn't it? I don't know.
Yeah, all right, all right.
Did you record it in any way? You didn't have like Joe running alongside filming it?
Joe wasn't there. Joe's.
I'd love to see the broadcast of the whole 17 hours.
I can send you the full video if you like. Yeah,
whatever it was,
and all my Strava stats. Yeah,
just send me your Garmin data. That
you wouldn't want to read my Garmin data right now.
Oh God.
Yeah.
So yes, I thought off the back of that, one of the things that comes up quite a lot in conversations with people that we work with is around exercise and around fitness. And I think there's two things that kind of I think stress people out and cause them anxiety when they're in their 40s. And this was true for me, is that A, I'm drinking too much, and B, I'm just not doing any exercise. And you kind of know when you get into midlife that you need to start doing a bit of exercise. And these two things are obviously intrinsically linked, because in my experience, where I really struggled to exercise was just to get the motivation to do it. And I know this is different for you, but I was very much somebody who was, I don't really like exercise that much, because everyone sort of says, just find the exercise just find the thing that you like and do that. And that kind of makes logical sense if you like exercise or sport in any kind of shape or form. And other than sat down on the couch watching football with a beer on the TV, I didn't really like doing any exercise or watching any or participating in any sport. But what I found was when I took a break from the booze, I just kind of naturally fell into it, and it became quite effortless. I don't mean effortless in terms of the amount of energy and effort I was putting into it, but the motivation to go and do it, which was the main problem, the main blocker, just wasn't really a problem anymore. Because I kind of sort of think that it's about building a habit, isn't it? It's about showing up on, regularly when you say you're going to do it. And in a way, it's a little bit like drinking. Drinking is really easy because it's habit. And exercise can become really easy when it becomes a habit. And it's the consistency bit around sport that alcohol is the most damaging to, because you just you get those days where you wake up, you're like, oh, can't be bothered, really not in the mood today, I'm just not going to bother, and then I'll go tomorrow, and all of the consistency falls away, and then the benefits, the compounding benefits of not drinking and exercising just don't come through, and then it just becomes really effortful, and that is quite anxiety causing, I think, in the same way that drinking too much is. So those two, I think, that's kind of my observation on that. What do you think?
No, I totally agree. And I think you hit the nail on the head there with the word consistency. And I think we look at exercise and think that all the gains that we're making is, or we don't want to say that. I mean, of course, there are gains to be made by cutting out alcohol. Of course, they are, because it's going to be, your body's going to feel healthier. You're going to gain all the gains that we talk about through sleep and everything else that comes with it. But it's twofold, because it is about that consistency. It's about consistency in everything you do. And when you have that consistency, you build that habit. You show up, you do that training when you say you were going to do it. You also approach it in the right way. You know when to, certainly, when the time is to rest, when the time is to step back from it, when the time is to listen to your body and actually be able to know where those aches and pains are coming from, if you know what I mean. Because when
Mm.
you're drinking, you maybe don't know quite so much. And this isn't necessarily delving into all the stats and all the data and everything else and saying cut out alcohol and you'll be a super fit gym goer. But that's not what this is necessarily about. And it doesn't have to. I mean, I'm not a member of a gym. I haven't, I have a pay as you go sports center that I use for a pool. And when I've got an event, I might use the gym on a pay as you go basis just for doing strength work. But I don't go to the gym because that's not me, I fall out of the habit with that. But if the gym is your thing, if paddle is your thing, if cricket is your thing, if golf is your thing, whatever it happens to be, I'm coaching someone at the moment who's an insanely good darts player. And a lot of the work that they're doing at the moment is around the mindset around standing up and playing darts and everything that goes around that. So it comes to that consistency. It doesn't have to be about becoming this super, super fit person. What you gain is consistency and the ability to show up and do what you want to do. And when you do that, you start to find that it lifts you more and
Mm.
more, and you get that type 2 happiness and that dopamine buzz that you were getting from alcohol. You get it directly from what you're doing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And that's the difference, I think.
I remember. I mean, I think. I think I can remember how I felt about this when I was drinking. I remember just sort of thinking, yeah, but I just don't like exercise. It's great if you were telling me that now, whilst I was still drinking, I'd have been like, yeah, I get that you like it, and that's great for you, but I just don't really like exercise.
Mm,
And a lot of people, I think, have that view until you actually do it 3 or 4 times. Because if you sort of think about it from an evolutionary perspective, the idea, if you go back 100 years, if you if you had a time machine, you went back 100 years, 200 years, and you showed somebody a treadmill, they'd be like, why on earth would you do
how
that?
big's your mouse?
I know, but how would you yeah, that's a very good point. But we kind of evolved to conserve energy,
Yeah.
conserve calories, because we didn't know where the next meal was coming from. So the idea of jumping on a treadmill and wasting calories is completely counterintuitive to how we've evolved for
Mm,
hundreds of thousands of
mm,
years. So your brain naturally tells you, don't do that. What on earth are you thinking? No, don't going for a run. Are you mad? You go to
mm,
the gym. That's insane. We're not doing that. So your brain, your subconscious is naturally telling you, don't do that. It's a bad idea. And but when you do it 3 or 4 times, you start to feel the endorphins start to come through, particularly with cardio, and then your brain shifts to, oh, actually, that's calming me down, that's relieving stress, that's really beneficial. Actually, yeah, do more of that. So your brain perceives the benefits versus the risks of exercise changes when you start doing it 3 or 4 times,
mm.
when it starts to become a habit.
Yeah.
So even if you don't like exercise now, doesn't mean it's going to stay that way.
But it's also define exercise, isn't it? We automatically, like you just said there, oh, why would I want to go for a run? I get it. Running's not for everybody. Totally not for everybody. And
Mm.
I totally respect that. Um, but I think if you really, really ask yourself, there is some, for the vast majority of people, there is going to be some form of exercise involving movement that they would like, that they will enjoy, whether
Mm.
that's swimming. Open water swimming is huge at the moment, particularly through the summer months. Whether it's just getting out off the sofa and getting a walk, getting your 10,000 steps a day, getting out there and actually getting movement into your body is the most important thing, rather than
Agreed.
necessarily viewing it as some exercise routine.
Mm.
Um, a lot of the men I work with are into their golf, so, golf is still a good, I
Mm.
don't know, it's a long time since I played, but it's still probably a good 5 or 6 mile walk to play 18 holes of golf. So it's that side of exercise. You don't need to be signing up to do ultra marathons. If running is your thing, then the best way into it is just go along and do your local park run.
Mm.
There is no pressure. at your local park run. You can run it with your kids in the buggy. You can take your dogs to most of them. You can walk it. You can do whatever you like. And it's such a great community of people getting together every Saturday morning and just getting some movement into themselves. And I guarantee you, your day will feel better. And
Oh, 100%. Yeah,
oh, it's,
100%. I always
yeah,
sort of think as well is I tend to I actually do all of my exercise in at lunchtime. But sometimes when I do exercise first thing in the morning, it just, particularly if it's a nice sunny day,
different day.
it's just like wow. I think there's a big difference when you exercise in the evening. I know sometimes people's obviously work schedules make you do the best that you can with the schedule that you've got. But a few years ago, I think I was still drinking at that point. I used to go to the gym after work at like 6 o'clock, and it's so much harder because you've
Mm,
already done a full day's work and you're tired anyway.
mm.
But when you do it first thing in the morning, it doesn't tire you out. It energizes you.
Energizes you.
It really
Yeah.
does.
Yeah.
It's
It's
such a
that
great.
it's that effort, isn't it, to get out of bed and it does feel like it feels less of an effort when the alcohol's not there. But of course, there's that feeling of wanting to hit the snooze. But once you actually get up and you get and do it, I mean,
But that, but
yeah,
this is another thing I think that people miss is that forcing yourself to do something you don't want to do, that releases dopamine.
yeah,
That makes you feel good. I don't know if I've said this on the pod before. I remember saying to somebody about this on a on a coaching call, but you're gonna laugh at me now, and I'm gonna sound like a massive, massive loser. But one of the things that I do sometimes on a Sunday because it makes me feel good, sharp intake of breath, is I do jigsaw puzzles. And the reason I do this, I can see you like you're trying not to laugh
No,
because
I've got nothing wrong with jigsaw
no,
puzzles, but I'm going to
honestly,
ask what they are in a minute.
well, no, I just
What
do
they're
like
of.
one pictures of like little cottages and things like that, whatever. But when you do things like puzzling or God, there's no way I can put this where I don't sound like a complete dick. But basically, it's the theory of do you know what a flow state is?
Yeah,
You've had a
absolutely.
flow state where you're just in the zone.
Yep.
And it's probably the same when you're doing your triathlons and things.
To
You're
swim, yeah.
just in the zone. You're doing one thing, and you're fully immersed in it. And that is really, really amazing for your mental
Yep.
health. I don't
Yep.
mean like picking your phone up every 3 seconds and checking Instagram, which I'm doing the rest of the time. But when you're just zoned in on doing one thing, it
Hmm.
feels amazing. And things like, art's another way of doing that. Playing a musical
Hmm.
instrument, but just focusing on one thing,
Yep.
your body just gets flooded with dopamine. And I kind of get that from just focusing on doing a puzzle. I got this from COVID. I got this back from COVID where loads of people were doing it. And again, I know it makes me sound really sad, but honestly, it just makes it makes me feel amazing when I'm doing it. It's
Yeah, yeah.
weird.
Well, there's all sorts, and I'm not, fair play. I mean, if puzzles are your thing, but
I can't
I
believe
love
I
your
actually said
T-shirt
this.
with Jigsaw Club written on
I
it. I
can't,
love it.
I
Yeah.
can't believe I actually said this. There's no way I could say it without sounding like, oh, great, guy who
What's the
doesn't
first
drink
rule of
does.
Jigsaw Club?
Guy who doesn't drink anymore spends his Sundays doing jigsaw puzzles.
You're selling that
Where do
alcohol-free
I sign up?
lifestyle.
Where do I sign up? Oh my
I
god.
can't believe we spent the first 10 minutes of this podcast me talking through taking on an ultra triathlon, and you get into the end and go, oh, well, well, that's enough of that. You've bored me with that, and then moving on, and then
Tell me
moving
about
on
my
to
jigsaw.
talking about jigsaw puzzles. But no, fair
Oh
play. I
my
like a
god.
good jigsaw, but yeah, the time has to be right. I'm not going to lie.
I
But
only did it when I wanted to sort of decompress and not
yeah,
think.
yeah,
Because you're always thinking about, we've all got 100 million things going on in our heads at one time. It's just it doesn't have to be that. You can do anything you want. If you've been to art or drawing or painting or whatever, that's another good way of doing it. But just doing one thing and focusing on that. I don't know how I managed to make that digression from.
I can. I'm joking aside. I can completely and utterly relate to that. I really can. And there's the just getting your brain working, whether it's that,
Mm,
whether it's Sudoku, whether it's Word, or
all
all
that
these
kind of
things. You got
stuff.
to
Yeah,
get
all that
yourself
kind
into
of
that
stuff.
flow state and that distraction. Yeah, I can completely and utterly relate to that. So yeah, it's
Mm.
yeah.
One thing that I wanted to mention actually that came up on something you said a second ago was when I just come back from a week in Croatia, and one of the things that I noticed was after about 5 or 6 days, I started to feel really kind of under par and quite lethargic. Not ill, but what I tend to do. So I run 3 times a week, and I go to the gym twice a week, and I swim as well. But when I go on every 3 months or so, I take a week off from exercise altogether just to sort
Mm.
of do like a full recovery kind of thing. I tend to time it around holidays. So I didn't do any exercise at all when I was in Croatia. And I also ate 3 meals a day, 3 courses per day, and basically just ate whatever the hell I wanted. And after about 5 days of that, I started to feel really, really sort of ugh. And it made me sort of think. It made me feel like I was hungover, basically, and it
Mm,
kind of made me sort of think of that saying, "Garbage in, garbage out." You know, if the inputs in your life are rubbish, then the energy levels and the output is going to be rubbish. And I really experienced that last week, just from
yeah.
5 days of not doing any exercise. We're moving around a bit, walking around the deck of a yacht, but and I was just eating, sugar. We had ice cream like every single night, kind of thing, and I just
Mm.
felt shit by 5 days in. And it's he kind of threw alcohol on top of that as well. I don't know, I would have been a mess.
You reminded me once I went for a run on a cruise once. I don't really go on cruises, but went on a cruise for my dad's 70th, which would have been 15 odd years ago now. And
Mm.
the ship was the Costa Concordia, by the way, about 2 weeks before it actually sank to the bottom of the Med.
I thought I'd heard
And
that name
yeah,
before.
but I went for a run on the running deck on the top of that, completely forgetting about the fact that the ship was moving.
Oh my god.
So I had my Garmin on. I looked down. I go, "Man, I'm killing it today. I'm smashing out 3 minute Ks here. Oh, this is great, you know." And then yeah, I suddenly realised, yeah, the ship was moving.
That was my biggest regret, actually. That I really wish I had gone for a run last week because we're on this beautiful
Yeah,
island called Havar, and
mm,
I really wish I'd taken my running gear,
yeah,
getting up really early, running around
mm,
the bay.
mm,
Ugh, what a waste!
yeah.
But there we
There you
go.
go. There you go. But yeah, so it's consistency, isn't it? It's absolute consistency, and you just get that back in bucket loads.
Mm.
Yeah,
I think going back to the piece around, when you get into kind of midlife and you get to sort of 40 and you kind of, you're questioning alcohol, you've got that anxiety around you drinking too much and not doing enough exercise. I've started to notice an awful lot from people that I speak to that tend to be people in their 40s is just how common that is. And I think we live in this world where if you're questioning your relationship with alcohol, you're somehow an outlier. Well, that's the thing that we think as
we
people, that
feel yeah.
everybody else is having a great time, everyone's having a lovely time with alcohol, and I've got something defective about me that I can't seem to handle it anymore. And why am I questioning it when everybody's having a wonderful time? And I'm just starting to think that there's almost like this mass delusion going on where we're all have this picture painted that it's just us that can't take it anymore. Whereas the reality is, if you're in your 40s, I think most people feel that way.
But yeah, no, I can completely relate to that when I was in my 40s as well, because I was questioning, I think I was 41 before I thought, I need to do something about this. But it was probably another 5 or 6 years before I actually did. And yeah, exercise was forefront for me, and I was doing it while I was drinking, but nowhere near the same level. So I suppose if you have just gone alcohol free and you're a couple of weeks in, and the thought of getting out and exercising the movement's kind of at the forefront, then the question I guess comes up, where on earth to start, really.
Mm. Well, I'll tell you what worked for me was Couch to 5K.
Yeah,
So I really wanted to get into some sort of exercise. I think the good thing with Couch to 5K is it's accessible for anybody. And it's just so easy to get into because at the
yeah,
beginning
yeah,
you've only got to run for 30 seconds.
yeah.
So for anyone who's not done 5K, who's not done Catch 5K, who's contemplating how to get into exercise, you do it 3 times a week for half an hour per session,
Yeah.
and it's over 9 weeks, I think, and
Hmm.
it starts off by just asking you to um, run for 30 seconds, I think about 5 times over the course of half an hour. And it talks you all through it. So it'll say, right, we're going to walk for 10 minutes and then you're going to run for 30 seconds. And it gradually over the course of the weeks, it changes those levels. And
Mm.
about halfway through, after you've been doing like 1 minute running, 3 minutes running, 5 minutes running over the course of the weeks, it then all of a sudden goes, right, you're going to run for 20 minutes. And you're like, what? 20 minutes? I can't
And
do
you
that.
and,
And
and
this is
then you
about
realize you can.
yeah, I think this is about 5 or 6 weeks in, and all of a
Mm.
sudden you do it, and then
Yeah.
after that you're like, oh my god, I can do anything, and it's
Yeah.
brilliant. It's so good, and it's that really set me up, and that must have been 5 years ago. I think I did that, and to be
Totally,
honest,
because you're just building an engine, right? And
exactly,
it's
100%. Yeah,
yeah,
it's a
totally.
brilliant way to do it. If you're like, oh, I'm not really into running, I don't really fancy that. Just do Catch 5K.
Yeah.
But I think
Oh no,
one of the
go on.
keys with it, I think, is really important. It's not to, you have to follow the program because I think it can be quite easy to sort of think, well, I can run for more than half a minute. I'll run for 2 minutes, and then you just do more than you think is necessary. But you're best just to stick with how it sets it out, and I just think it's accessible for anybody. It
Totally,
really is.
totally. And I appreciate that I'm also discussing running here, but other clubs are available. But a huge one for me was joining a running club. And
Mm,
you have this vision that in order to join a running club, you've got to be a runner. Do you know what I mean? But I mean, I am going to give a shout out to the best running club in the world in my eyes, and that's Blackwater Valley Runners that I go to. And we meet every single Wednesday evening, but there are other sessions during the week. But we have so the groups that we go out in, they're kind of done. I think they're done off the back of the old judo belts. So you've got the black run, which will be your super fast sort of 16-minute part runners, and then right the way through to we've got members in our club that are in the mid 80s that take out walking groups on a Wednesday night. So it gets movement out there. It's totally social. There's absolutely no egos involved. There's absolutely no expectation to perform. We get out, we have a social chatty run on a Wednesday night, and that just gives that consistency. And for me, that was just so huge. Whatever it happens to be, find what you're into, a local dance club, a local jigsaw club, whatever you want to go
Stop
to.
taking the piss.
Equally, it's just, yeah, it's having that community, having that connection. You know, if you don't want to officially join a club, I mentioned it before, Park Run gives you that
Mm.
community. Anything that you can just build that little community about, it really, really helps. It's huge because, yeah, and I can't recommend it enough.
It yeah. So my wife Chris loves to exercise with other people. The idea of exercising on her own is like, no, just definitely
Mm,
not doing it. She would never
mm.
go to the gym on her own. Whereas for me, I'm kind of different to that. I actually much prefer to exercise on my own. I don't get me wrong. I'm not disputing the benefits of doing it in a
Mm.
community setting because I think it does also motivate you to go to push a little bit harder. But I kind of like the headspace of going out running on my own. I can't remember if I've mentioned it before, but I kind of get all my best ideas when I'm running. I think it's to do with like
Yeah.
blood flow to your head and stuff like that. But I just come back and I'm like bang, 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 bang.
Yeah,
And I
yeah.
just,
No, I'm the same. I mean, I do both. So Wednesday's my club night, and then I'll go and do my long runs on the weekend, solo runs and that kind of thing. And I love my own headspace. Don't wear headphones, just like being inside my own head. And that's kind of my thing. But I love that community side of it as well, which is that one night a week, and you can kind of go along to that. It's just it's great. Yeah, it's brilliant. I
Mhm.
love it.
Okay, so well, if people are into running, because not everybody is, I hear people all the time sort of say to me, "Yeah, I'm just not interested in running." What else is there? If you're just starting out, you want to do some exercise. How would you
Oh God,
recommend people
there's.
do
I
it?
mean, you literally name it. I mean, you would just literally go in and search your local area for, there'll be a club for whatever it is you're into. Um, and yeah, you're so right because I think there's this misconception that the minute you stop drinking, that you suddenly become you're going to sign up and run a marathon. That's not the case. So, I mean, dance classes. That I mean, that's my idea of hell. But a dance classes, if you're into learning a martial art, learning a martial art locally, walking groups. There's an amazing, if running's not your thing, there's an amazing organization called the Long Distance Walkers Association. They're based all over the UK. I think it's £18 a year to be a member, and they organize long distance walks over the weekend. Get in some of the most beautiful parts of the country. You get out, they've got feed stations as you go round. So there's all of those things. I mean, whatever you want. I mean, literally, where the list is endless. The list is endless.
Mm.
If you whatever lifts you, search locally, and you will find something for it.
I think it's just starting small as well, isn't it? And just
Yeah.
I always used to kind of fail with exercise historically because I just bite off so much at the beginning and then just get overwhelmed by it
Mm,
after 2 or 3 weeks.
mm,
Whereas I think it's better just to start really, really small and just add a little bit every single week to make it a
mm,
little bit bigger.
mm.
I don't know about you. I think with my running, I've always done the same amount. So I put when I once I did couch to 5K. So I run 3 times a week, and I only run 5K, and I've never increased it. And I know there's the kind of diminishing returns if you're doing the same amount and all that kind of thing. But I deliberately didn't try and go faster or try and run further because I didn't want to get to the point where I'd be a bit like, oh God, I've got to run 10K. If I'm gonna go for a run, I'm gonna have to run 10K. So I've always kind of or whatever it may be. So I've always kind of kept it at like, okay, 5K is enough. That's 25 minutes, 3 times a week. That's done. And I've done that for 5 years. I've not tried to increase it or run faster. I don't even look at. I always record it on my Garmin, but really just as a record of when I've run. I don't look at any of the data at all ever. I check my VO2 max. I'm quite obsessive about that.
Yeah.
Hashtag Stephen Bartlett. but I'm not.
Let's not go there.
Let's not go there. No, we can talk about that. But I don't care about speed or distance or. How's
No,
that for you? That's quite
but
different for you, isn't it?
well, no, it's not really, not hugely. Of course, there's the stats I will look at, but I mean, I'm not obsessed by them. But also, it's interesting hearing you say that. You say I only go out and run 5K 3 times a week. I mean, there's no only about that. That's, you're running 10 miles a week consistently for the last 5 years. I mean, that's incredible. That's an amazing amount of commitment to do that kind of thing. So coming back to what we were saying about at the beginning about having the consistency and the commitment to do that, you're not training for some event. You're not doing that.
Hmm.
This is something that you love. This is something that's important to you, and you do it for that reason. And that's the key to everything. And genuinely, that's why I run. That's why I do it. I love to push myself, but
Hmm.
ultimately, I do it. Um, to quote a good friend of mine that has a podcast called the Maximum Mileage Podcast, he says, "I run for my head, and my ass follows," and it's so true. It's just that's if as long as you remember the reason you're doing it, and the reason you're doing it is to lift you and to give you that great feeling, that dopamine hit, those endorphins in whatever way it happens to be, then that's the most important thing. The stats have nothing to do with it. The stats will look after themselves.
Hmm.
Listen to I think it was Andy and Rich when they interviewed Ali Bailey, and she said, "Can you imagine going for a run in the 80s? You come back into your flatmate sitting in there, and they go, 'Where have you been?' 'Oh, I've been for a jog.' 'Oh, great. Where did you go?' 'No idea.' 'How far did you run?' 'I've no idea.' 'What speed did you run at?' 'I've got absolutely no idea.' 'How do you feel?' 'Fucking fantastic.' And it's like,
I never thought of
you know,
that. That's cool.
that's how it should be. And of course, all those things will look after themselves, and you'll know it in the way that you feel. Of course,
Mm.
it's nice to see these things. It's nice to have these stats to refer back to. But I always do take them with a bit of a pinch of salt as well. And that's even coaching. There's no better way to know than your own body and feeling how you feel.
Mm. So we that's a good little segue actually. And we touched upon it last week, but I'd love to talk about Stephen Bartlett a bit more because I thought this is quite fascinating. I think so.
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
So let's talk about this a little bit more because this is kind of blown up again on social media this week,
Yeah.
and I did a reel about it that got a fair bit of interest, and everybody else has done one as well. So Stephen Bartlett basically said that he'd been out. He did an interview with Chris Williamson, who does Modern Wisdom podcast, which is another really good one. And Stephen Bartlett said that he had not drank for a year, and he'd gone out and had 3 glasses of wine at a party or a dinner with some friends, and he said it basically ruined his life for 3 days.
Mm,
And everybody just because basically what he was saying was all of his health metrics, like his sleep score and his VO2 max and his resting heart rate and his HRV and all these things had just basically been just destroyed for 3 days. And he was positioning it as being like some kind of health Armageddon,
mm.
and everybody jumped on his back, sort of saying about all this obsession with optimizing is just ruining. It was really negative, painting us being really negative, and the main narrative was, what's the point in measuring your health like this if you're not going to live your life, if you're not going to enjoy yourself? And one of the things I saw on an awful lot of the comments were making was, if you're not going out and drinking with your mates, you're not having fun, you're not
Yep.
enjoying life,
Yep.
and that's just bullshit, basically.
That is bullshit. That is bullshit. And we know that that's bullshit. And everybody that takes a break from alcohol knows in time that that is bullshit. It might take a while to see that, and it might take a while to get there. I'm looking at this comment from both the comment itself and the context in which it was put out there, and secondly from some of the comments that have come back in. But something I come back to now, I'm not the biggest Stephen Bartlett fan. I've listened to that podcast quite a lot in the earlier stages and
Mm.
gone
I
off it a
like it. I
little.
like his
I
pod.
like it.
He has
I
good
think it's
guests,
a
basically.
he does
He has
have
the
good
best
guests. He's
guests.
got some, and actually, I don't
Not as good as
dislike.
ours, but
I don't I
I
don't
mean,
dislike him. It's not 100% for me. I find them a little bit long. I find them sometimes a little bit advert heavy, and but and this is through my eyes and my eyes only on this. The clip that has been put out on social media is about 10, 15 seconds long. Let's remember who Stephen Bartlett's audience are. They are people who are looking to optimize themselves. They are people who are typically looking to be their best selves, whether it's in their business, whether it's in their health, whether it's in anything else. When we're drinking, we might go out and say, "Oh my God, I was absolutely hammered, trashed, I'm wrecked, I'm all these things." the context in which he's saying it was the impact that those three glasses of wine had on him, which actually, if you look at it on the stats, are 100% going to be true. They're going to impact his sleep. They're going to impact. He said my life was ruined for 3 days. Now, it would probably take quite a lot to ruin Stephen Bartlett's life, I'm sure. He seems to have it pretty good. So I think that choice of words in a 10-second clip has then been clickbait and turned into this whole, oh my gosh, let's feel sorry for Steve. Or no, how can we feel sorry for Stephen Bartlett due to this situation? So that's where it jumps on it. There is no doubt, however, that that impacts, but it doesn't. But it also, coming back to what you're saying, this belief that you can't go out and have fun without drinking is just crap. It's just
And it's not
and
him saying that.
it's the comments.
Yeah, I saw I mean, there's just been a ton of stuff, people posting about it, and it's just that making that assumption, that leap from, well, if you're not drinking, you're not having fun. If you're not going
Yeah,
out, why can't you go out with your friends and not drink? Why
he
is that?
didn't.
Why does that
Yeah,
automatically mean it's going to be miserable?
yeah. He didn't make some big announcement on BBC to the whole country. He was talking to people on his podcast who are typically that style of listener that are interested in that kind of the concept behind what he's saying there. And I think everybody 100% have their view, and I agree. I'm on the fence. I agree with both sides of it, and I think a lot of the comments I've heard coming through, some of the feedback on it, I've thought, yeah, you've actually hit the nail on the head there. That's pretty spot on. And actually, others I've thought you're not getting the point. But it's just an
I
opportunity,
think there's a
isn't it,
bit
for
of
people to
there's a bit of confirmation bias in there as well going on. I think it's a
yeah,
bit like
possibly.
people forwarding articles about how red wine's good for your heart because they're already doing it and they want to carry on doing
Mm,
it.
mm,
So it's, oh, I knew I was right. It's that kind of thing.
mm.
So a lot of the sharing that was going on was people who who quite happily drinking and don't want to stop, and that's
Well, that's
fine.
just
That's up
it's
to
the
them,
nature
and
of social media, isn't it?
it is nice. Yeah, it's very much echo
Yeah,
chamber, isn't it?
yeah. Right, there we go. There we go.
Mm.
So
There it
another,
is.
there
Stephen
it is.
Bartlett, tick.
Yeah.
Slate man, tick. Holidays, tick. We didn't do
Sport
weather.
tick.
Sport,
No.
tick.
Weather, sun shining outside.
Lovely.
Approximately 21 degrees with a light southwesterly. So there you go. There's the weather done as well.
Full
Full
service,
service
full
provided.
service provided. Yeah.
Fantastic.
Brilliant.
Cool.
Okay,
Well,
mate. Well,
have a
great to
wonderful
see you.
week, and
Yeah.
look forward to catching up next week. We have a guest interview next week, although that's not coming out till a
No, we
little
don't,
bit
because
later
that's not
down the.
coming out until August.
Well, I said we are interviewing a
Oh,
guest
yeah,
next week, myself and you, but that's
we
not
do.
coming out till later before
Yeah,
you
yeah.
so rudely interrupted me. I'll let you get back to your
Sorry.
jigsaw.
The jigsaw episode.
Awesome. Yeah,
Oh,
we could do a jigsaw episode. We'll have an
what,
update
literally,
next week.
like a video one of just me doing a jigsaw for an hour. That's going to be great.
Oh, okay, cool. Well, we'll call it there. Have a
All right,
wonderful
key
week.
the music.
Yeah, cue the music. See you later.